Well, the centre has commenced the rollout of citizenship certificates under the Citizenship Amendment Act and has issued its first batch of certificates to 14 people. Union Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla greeted the beneficiaries and presented to the first batch of certificates to the applicants in the capital city of Delhi. The Ministry of Home Affairs has received applications from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan from people belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist, Parsi and the Christian community in the last 2 months alone. These are the people who entered India until the 31st of December 2014 on the grounds of religion-based persecution or because of the fear of persecution in these countries, which has been going on for a long time. To talk more about this, we have Union Minister Meenakshi Lekhi joining us today to talk about the importance of implementing this very, very crucial act. Meenakshi Lekhi, appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with us. How would you define this moment? The first CAA certificates have been issued.
This is a defining moment, and basically the promise we made in 2019, we have complied with our promise, and that's to showcase the guarantees which the Modi government gives are the guarantees which protect the human rights and which protect the people and which protect the minorities.
Well, Meenakshi ji, we have spoken to some of the Pakistani refugees who narrated how their lives were in Pakistan and how their lives are transformed in India now. Is this what Modi ki guarantee is all about? Is this what it means to you?
Absolutely. I think before any economic well-being of any nation can be looked into, people's cultural values and people's existence and identity needs to be protected, and economy and civilizational values and all can be protected because you have an identity to protect. And in this case, the identity of minorities was getting diminished in the areas which belong to them. These are the people, like we are all people who have migrated and have come from erstwhile India but now Pakistan, and how our rights as humans was demonized and not taken care of. We migrated, but there were some unfortunate people who belong to the land, who are the original people, but were persecuted throughout, and they have been given their identity and right to practice their cultural and civilizational values which their ancestors have followed for thousands of years.
All right, Meenakshi Lekhi, in a country which is of course looking for reforms, why do you think it was important to get CAA implemented?
So there are a couple of things. A spate of people migrated from erstwhile India to this part of India, which is today recognized as India, and a couple of places are recognized as separate countries. Afghanistan is a different country, Pakistan is a different country, Bangladesh is a different country. But nevertheless, original people of this land who followed the original religion and cultural values were persecuted in these areas, and they had no place to go to because the Western world and other worlds did not even recognize their persecution. The Hindu genocide and persecution has not even been accorded the status of a genocide, which is a sad story which we all need to confront. Now, people have come in various states to this part of the country because they had no other place, and this was a promise which was given by the then Indian government post-independence to these minorities, that people are free to move, and the other places had also made a promise that minorities and their rights will be protected in the newly formed countries. But they never fulfilled their promise, and we know how Hindus have been persecuted in the past and even in the present. So when these spates of people at various points in times came to this part of the country, they overstayed. They may have come with a valid visa, valid passport, but they did not comply with the rules to go back in 3 months' time or 6 months' time or 1 year visa, whatever. And they continued to stay here with their friends and relatives, etc. But they had no legal document to prove their citizenship. And because the then laws as existed in the country, if you wanted to take your citizenship post 1950 and later, they will have to showcase valid visa and valid passport of the other country, which either they had lost or they had overstayed and they had become criminals under the law. And there was no way of them to go back to the country of origin, and that is Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Afghanistan. So this was a technical glitch. To remove this technical glitch so that all the people who have been living in this country for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, so on and so forth, could reapply for citizenship and get their regularization certificate and get the citizenship certificate. There are a whole lot of people who came thereafter. In 2012 also people kept coming, and their citizenship application had to be expedited. That was the other problem. So now that expeditious disposal can happen so that they don't become illegal and illegally staying in this country, that part also had to be looked after.
Right. Meenakshi Lekhi, there has been commentary from foreign media against CAA. Do you call this some sort of a misunderstanding, or do you think this has been a deliberate narrative from them?
See, I cannot comment about the motivation part of it. It is for them to explain, and I cannot answer on behalf of anybody. But defending my point of view or defending India's point of view is very clear. See, there are two aspects. One, genocide of Jews happened, and the world recognizes it. Genocide of Hindus has also been going on for thousands of years, but there is no recognition to that fact. Number three, the world recognizes the word secular, but India is the land which has practiced secularism for centuries before the world got its recognition. Because here, all kind of sects existed through the centuries, even when we were not we were under colonial hangover. Before that, when, say, Christians got persecuted in other parts of the world, they came to seek refuge in India, and India gave them refuge. When others were being persecuted other parts of the world, Parsis, certain section of Muslims, they were all given refuge in this country. All the 70 sects of Christianity exist in this one country, which no Christian country in the world can claim. All the 72 sects of Islam exist in this country, which no single Muslim country can claim. Jews who were thrown out and persecuted and burned across, well, that was not done by Indians, that was not done by Hindus, but several others who are now seeking to protect them. But whereas in India, they were given refuge at that time. Parties, when they got persecuted, they came to India and they were given refuge. I think it's high time we write our own story and we write our own narration and making people understand Indian point of view. An Indian point of view is while we protect rights of others, we are also going to protect the rights of our own. These countries, these land masses belong to India. In earlier, not a very long time back, but just about 70, 75 years ago, this was India. This was a promise which was made by our forefathers to protect the rights, and this was the promise made by the forefathers of those countries as well. But somehow the societies failed to provide that. If societies have failed to provide, where are these people going to go? If not, come back to India. I mean, I'll be happy if other countries who claim to be secular nations and who claim to have democratic value system recognize it and give them refuge. Are they doing that? Answer is no. They are neither recognizing nor giving them refuge. So they have every business to be protected, their identity be protected, and they be given refuge because they are our own. They have no other place to go to.
Well, you have served Delhi for years now, also been MOS for External Affairs. Have you ever had the opportunity or a chance of hearing these stories of refugees from Pakistan? And if so, what went through your mind when you heard them?
Yes, not once, many a times. And I have been appalled at their condition. I'm sorry to say this, but I know how people who came illegally into this country got their documentation done, whereas these people who genuinely needed the refuge and were here because of the persecution did not have any kind of help coming to them. In the past, I remember going to all those places in the winters, getting blankets, and all at a private, personal level. Children not getting admissions in schools, doctors who are qualified doctors from other countries, but their certificates cannot be accepted in India. They cannot get a job. So they are human problems. These are, we are being human. Let's stop recognizing, people let's recognize the persecution and let's try to help them and not be biased in our opinions. I feel there's a strong bias existing in people without knowing the facts and without getting into the facts, and they all have some agenda, either out of ignorance or out of some ill motivation. So I would request all the people, all the humanists, to get over their biases and to understand the problem which these people from erstwhile India are faced with. And no country in the world recognizing their persecution, which is a sad story.
Meenakshi, Lekhi, Mamata Banerjee, the TMC Supremo and Chief Minister of West Bengal, says that she won't allow implementation in Bengal and has linked it to NRC also, stating that 19 lakh Hindus were omitted from a list in Assam. How do you respond to that?
So all I can say is that the Chief Minister of Bengal is ill-advised. CAA is a central legislation which centre will implement, and she cannot be an impediment. And if she is being an impediment, there are methods of dealing with people who act as impediment to the implementation of legal provision. There are criminal laws dealing with that kind of situation, and she will then be in a shock that then she should not claim that I am a people's person and I've been elected by the people, because if you are elected by the people, there is no immunity against crime. So while you may be elected by the people, but if you are impeding upon a legislation and implementation of a legislation, then you are a criminal, and criminal law can take its own course and can deal with those situations if you do anything which is not in terms of law. Number one. Number two, people of Bengal, the demographic which has changed in Bengal, people of Bengal will answer her for that. And because of demography, the people's right to do what they have been doing and their ancestors have been doing for thousands of years is getting impeded. We've seen how under her administration people could not do Durga Puja, people could not perform Saraswati Puja, how the names have been changed, how the Bengali language itself has altered the normal Bengali words. Like, I'll give you one example. The color of the sky, which is sky blue as we call it in English, is called Akashi in Bengali. It has become Asmani now. And that is the kind of change you are looking at, the change of language, the change of rituals, the change of faith, the change of values. And this change of values has changed, is changed because of demography. India is a secular country, not because of the minority minority population in this country, but because the majority is in a certain way. Because minorities of those countries created Bangladesh and Pakistan, and both are non-secular. They are not secular. They call themselves Islamic republics.
Meenakshi, Lekhi, last question before we let you go. Well, the Congress still opposes the CAA and says that citizenship cannot be provided on the basis of religion alone. How do you respond?
I can only call them people who engage in creating confusion in the minds of people. Citizenship, even now, is not being provided in the name of religion. There is a Citizenship Act which exists in this country, and it has certain parameters on which citizenship can be granted. The biggest example is Adnan Sami. Adnan Sami is a Muslim coming from Pakistan who has been given citizenship under the Citizenship Act of this country. Citizenship Amendment Act, a certain amendment was brought in to expedite the citizenship for the people who have come because of persecution, because there was a gap in Citizenship Act which did not recognize persecution of certain minorities in erstwhile India, and which did not help these minorities who had no other place in the world to go to. So citizenship is not being granted on the basis of religion. Citizenship is granted to the people who wish to be citizens of this country, but it is for the government and people of this country to expedite certain procedures in favor of some people because they are persecuted minorities and they have no respite from the persecution. And they are escaping their persecution. People who come in search of jobs, money, economic migration, so on and so forth, that's a different story. But this is a story of the people who belong to this country, whose ancestors lived for the well-being of this nation, and who were left behind due to partition. Where will they go? They have allowed their daughters to be raped and molested on daily basis, allowed their temples to be burnt on daily basis, allowed their jobs not being taken away, do not get government jobs, do not get any recognition for the kind of good work these people are capable of. Where will they go? I mean, if I wear a bindi or a tilak, I can be just killed for doing that. Where will they go? It is to expedite that process, that's all. But citizenship is granted. I mean, if Citizenship Act did not give citizenship to people, irrespective of their religion, Sonia Gandhi is a bigger example. She's a Christian, she got the citizenship. Adnan Sami, being a Muslim, got the citizenship recently. So it's not that. It's just that people who have been living in this country for 30 years, 20 years, 25 years, and they do not have valid document to live in this country. How do you make them citizens? You can't throw them back to Pakistan or Afghanistan or Bangladesh, can you? Where will they go? And their children, their progeny gets to be persecuted in this country because they chose to come to this part of the land. Please understand, these are children of India.
Meenakshi, Lekhi, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with NewsX on this pivotal and important matter.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.